Back in our normal racing colours after a very successful time last time out for this F1 25 My Team career mode at the Austrian Grand Prix in a rain-soaked Austrian Grand Prix, donning the pink pig livery. Well, we were driving as Tim Tramnitz, but it was Leclerc's AI that had a sensational 16th place to first place race in the wet. Ridiculous stuff, really showing maybe his 99 rating there. We came home for a third place. Verstappen second, and Oscar Piastri with a DNF, which was pretty massive for the championship. But for this episode now, back in our normal racing colours as we go to the team's home race for the British Grand Prix, and it's in reverse. Remember, Silverstone reverse was a torrid time for us last season, but I'm hoping we can make amends. But yeah, big moment for the championship, because for the first time we lead both championships with Piastri's DNF. Tramnitz takes the lead, Leclerc's in second. Unbelievable to think that we've got a 1-2 going on. You know, with how up and down this season has been, it kind of doesn't feel like we should even mathematically be able to be 1 and 2. But we are, because the consistency's actually shone through in recent races where we've been doing the job, whilst Piastri's had those wobbles. The DNF today, obviously, what was it, in 2-3 races ago, he had a big moment in Miami, wasn't it, whilst we won as Leclerc. So, you know, those moments where Red Bull and Piastri maybe let themselves down, we have been there to capitalize, as they seem to be our nearest challengers. But we've still seen, you know, flashes of speed from Mercedes, McLaren, Honda as well, of course. But now we go into the British Grand Prix. We did drive as Tramnitz last episode, but it's our turn now to rectify the double race we did with Leclerc earlier in the season, and so we are going to retake the reins of Tim Tramnitz going into the team's home race for Silverstone.
It is one of the most exciting moments of the entire weekend. Driver versus stopwatch, trying to deliver for their team in qualifying to set the grid.
I think the first time we came here last season, qualifying went pretty well for us, but the race was a disaster with the tyre wear, obviously, and trying to go a bit longer. So we've learned our lesson in that respect, and we will go forwards into this race knowing better. But
okay, some information. We've lost oil pressure. Looks like a leak somewhere in the system. We're on standby for the time being until we can patch it up, I'm afraid.
There are some issues in qualifying, and there is a lubrication system fault that will delay us a little bit. No matter, in Q1 should give us enough time to go out there, you know, get comfortable with the reverse layout again. It's always a bit of an oddity, you know, other tracks you kind of get into a rhythm very quickly, but because we've hardly experienced this version of Silverstone, there's a bit of lack of muscle memory when you go out there on track. So I think it always takes a bit longer to get used to it, and certainly does, you know, on this instance, you know, that left-hander, let's say, just maybe could have gained a bit more by going tighter on the apex. And oh my, okay, right. Well, that's great, that's great. The rear wing, shock horror, has failed again. And unlike the last few times, this is probably the more difficult way of it failing, is it's been stuck open. Now, this was technically an illegal advantage we gained in Australia in qualifying in the race, but around Silverstone, a track that is such high downforce, this is a problem. You can't do the lap with the rear wing open. You need it to close. We are going to test this theory, because I will try and go again. I'm going to re-engage for another flying lap and abandon that first one. Piastri going around the outside of us and slowing us up in the village. A little bit of contact made there with the Australian, so I don't know what on earth he was playing at. I let him by initially because I thought he was on a flying lap, but clearly not. He's actually setting himself up for a fly here, as are we, as we go again. But you're about to see it just isn't going to work very well. Unlike an Australia street circuit, this thoroughbred circuit just does not, well, I mean, it's an amazing drift. That was an incredible drift held by yours truly into the reverse turn 1 or 2, I guess it is, really. But you can see there's no downforce. There's just none, and you need it around here. We've been overtaken by Lawson. We go into Beckett, into Maggots, and the rear end just is not there. And we've actually done a little pirouette spin. And yeah, you can see, unlike in Australia, there is no way to do a qualifying lap with the DRS stuck open. If this gets stuck open at some point in the race, by the way, that's curtains. That is completely race done if that happens mid-race and let's say we just started the lap and we have to do a whole lap before getting into the pits to fix the issue mid-race. That is an issue. And speaking of, we come into the pits then to fix the issue. It's not fixed. It's not fixed. Guys, what are we doing? What are we doing? I just came into the pits to fix the rear wing, and it is still up. What did we just do? What did we do in the pits? We did nothing. Nish was done. And there's only 4 minutes left to go. If I come in now, I won't get to go again. So I actually got forced into attempting to just finish some sort of semblance of a lap, maybe, because there was physically not enough time to come back in for a second time to fix this. And there's a big snap. There's a big problem there. Oh, for goodness.
You're all right. Engine off. Engine off.
Well, there you have it. Absolute calamity. And it's all the team's fault. What on earth are we playing at here? Come in to fix the DRS issue, and it's not fixed, and there's no time to come back in again. Have to go out, and it's incredibly dangerous. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the FI investigated that very fact of sending me back out like that. And unbelievable. There is something about reverse Silverstone. It appears just to be a big bogey for us on this game, because if it's not an issue in the race like last season, it's an issue in quali. The only silver lining here is because of Piastri's antics with blocking us in Village on that, you know, aborted flying lap initially. You can see there, he's got a 5-place penalty. So the nearest non-aarava Porsche Racing driver, you know, we're driving as Tramnitz, of course, so speaking through his eyes, our nearest contender, who is not in our own team, is Piastri. He's got a penalty, so that's at least maybe going to limit the damage and the blow of being back here down the order. But meanwhile, the teammate Leclerc up there. So this is a massive, I mean, off the back of a race win in Austria, this is a huge one for Leclerc's AI to come back at us, driving as Tramnitz, as we go into the grid to see how Q2 and Q3 shaped up.
We meet again at Silverstone for one of the great Formula One races of the entire calendar. With a barely believable capacity crowd creating a phenomenal atmosphere, it is time for a race that puts a smile on your face. It is time for the British Grand Prix. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, Leclerc, Liam Lawson and Stroll, Colapinto, Gasly, Ocon and Zach O'Sullivan, Bortoletto, Solov, Jack Crawford and Tsunoda, Maloney, Hadjar, Alex Albon and Oscar Piastri, Pepe Marti, Tramnitz, Aaron and Jack Doohan. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. Well, we welcome you to the broadcast. It's going to be some race today. First of all, introductions. I'm Alex Jakes. Alongside me for this one, Anthony Davidson. Now, those final hours before a race, did you have a routine?
Well, for them, you know, you've got your pre-race rituals that you go through. You see different drivers that, you know, some have got their headphones on, they're listening to the music. Some drivers really absorb the energy from the crowd and they're there waving to them. Other drivers, they go within themselves. They chat to their engineers, absorbing that information, that vital information that you need to carry you through the race. And, you know, those pre-race rituals are essential to making things systematic. We do a lot of Grand Prix in a season, and the more systematic you can be, the easier you are within that environment.
Now, I know this isn't where we wanted to start this race, but given we're back here at the back of the grid, it means there's an opportunity to move forward. I've seen you karting back in the day. Let's go and do it again.
Well, that was a very unorthodox and brand new radio message from Mark there, trying to reference Tramnitz's karting days. How odd, how random, a bit suspicious. Why are you following a young German's karting career back in the day, Mark, huh? Right, anyway, well, the last time Mark's given us a sterling radio speech, let's say, there's been some pretty good races following, you know, some pep talks. Obviously, Monza in Season 3 comes to mind, where we won the entire race from the back of the grid. So I feel like this may be a bit more of a miracle, really, knowing how difficult reverse Silverstone is on F125. The AI are really very consistent and great around here. And also it adds to this now, because we crashed out of quali and hardly, well, we didn't have a single full flying lap. I've hardly had any practice around here, so dialing in is going to be difficult. Overcast conditions, but there is no rain to come, so we won't get baited like we did last season, and we've learned our lesson. We will be coming in earlier and not trying to go too long on the tyres, but from 20th place, it is going to be difficult. But I must say, Oscar Piastri, he's directly ahead of us on this race start when we line up. So he's had a pretty shocking qualifying, plus the 5th-place penalty. So actually, it's not all too bad. Really, the only biggest gainer here in the championship, let's say, is going to be Tramnitz's teammate, Leclerc, our other driver, you know, at the sharp end, you know, not right up there, though, but Verstappen and Lando taking the front row. So that's going to be the interesting dynamic here, is maybe there's a chance to just limit the damage, at least, to the, you know, non-aarava driver, basically, in this race, and see what we can do, and hopefully have a much better time than we did, at least, here last season. As we all rev up now towards 5 red lights, the British Grand Prix in reverse is a go. Lights out, and we're on the way. It's a good start for a couple ahead. Lots of movement going on. 3, 4 wide, maybe, into the reverse turn. 1, 3 wide ahead. Piastri threading the needle. Incredible stuff for him, actually. Double overtake on Albon and the Haas. We're trying to follow him through and keep up with him, but we're having a bit of an issue on the rear end. We've at least got one Haas trying to get the other one of Hadjar round the outside. Gone a little bit wide, nearly dipping a tyre into the gravel, but not so much. The Ferrari immediately on lap 1 harvesting battery, so the Ferrari ERS issues just continue. Like, that's a legitimate problem with the Ferrari this season. Every single time I see them on track, their ERS harvesting lights flashing, so there legit is some sort of major issue going on with that Ferrari engine this season. As we're up into 17th place, we can see Piastri up the road, and there's already a bit of a difference of, you know, 2 packs forming, and the second pack here being led by, surprise, surprise, Lance Stroll, not having the same pace as his teammate Max Verstappen, who leads the way. And you can see on the ladder, Leclerc up to second then. It's been a very, very bad start for Lando Norris off the front row. He's down even below his teammate, Carlos Sainz. So it's Verstappen from Leclerc, Sainz, Norris, the 2 Hondas, Gasly, Stroll, and like I said, there's a gap there forming already from Gasly to Stroll. And I think that's only going to get larger, really, if we base it off the performance of Stroll. Even last episode, that horrendous spin he had, and you can see that physical gap forming already there. And so it's going to be follow the leader, and can any of these guys get past? I mean, this kind of helps myself and Piastri, maybe backs everyone up into us, but if we can't make an overtake, that's just going to give us a load of dirty air. As Carlos Sainz now on the outside might get Leclerc, the 2 former Ferrari teammates now in Mercedes and Porsche respectively. Sainz, fantastic overtake on the exit of Maggots, and into second place now. 2 seconds the gap though to Verstappen leading the way in the papaya car, so Sainz now needs to get a move on if he doesn't want to allow Verstappen to run away with this, as we now still look on the back of Piastri, who's a bit slow behind Maloney. We nearly get it all crossed up on the right. We now go to the inside. Piastri is going to have the better line though into the next corner. Can we go around the outside? No, we've absolutely messed that up. We went so wide and the understeer kicked in, and now Albon's got back down the inside. So yeah, a couple of these corners, you can maybe see the rusty nature of my driving, because we've not done significant qualifying hot laps where I've dialed in where's best to turn in, when should I be braking. So we're going to be making a few mistakes here, I think, in terms of carrying a lack of momentum into some of these corners. As Leclerc, I think that's him getting overtaken by Norris as well. So after initially a really good start from our teammate, maybe he'll be going backwards, and maybe this car doesn't have the pace today around here. Oh, it's going from bad to worse now, as we now lose about nearly a second to Piastri trying to overtake him in the middle of that section. Thankfully, we'll close back up because he's being slowed up so much by Maloney. And so there's a second attempt to overtake him. This time, though, will be very easy on the throttle through that second part of this now reverse Maggot to Beckett. But Piastri is doing such a good job to defend. It's almost like his AI knows that this is maybe the championship fight, and we are just getting absolutely rinsed as we put a tyre into the grass. The tyre wear is kicking in now, and we've been overtaken by Albon. So yeah, it's very clear to me that the AI are very good around here, and I am not. I'll put my hands up here, very much not. But we're going to try and get on with it as we try and re-overtake Albon at least. He's on the soft. All these guys are on the softs. We started on mediums on purpose because I knew the tyre wear was going to be quite high from last season. And yet, these guys are still going on, and Mark's already asked me to come in, just showing you that the AI actually are not feeling the tyre wear as much as me as the player, clearly, because I've got an orange icon on mediums, and these guys are still going on softs. But maybe now there is a sign of those tyres feeling a little bit secondhand as we overtake Piastri finally. Third time of asking, we get it done. But he's now come in for the tighter accelerated line on the inside now, having to use a bit more battery than he wanted to get back ahead and squeeze him out before we get into Village. But it's only for 16th place. But you know what? Versus Piastri, the nearest non-aarava Porsche racing car to us in the standings, it feels like a win to be ahead of Piastri, to try and maybe slow him up and slow his progress up. And in turn, in a weird way, that's going to help out Leclerc, obviously, in the standings. But Piastri will not give up, and he really won't give up here. Twice now makes contact. He vaults over the curb as he tries to overtake us, and he's actually done us with this switchback, despite vaulting over the curb and losing a significant amount of momentum. Piastri does us on the exit, but we get him back through the next left-hander. So that's turned into, on lap 7, an absolute blockbuster fight between two championship contenders, Tramnitz versus Piastri. We're taking the wheel of the German, and we managed to stay ahead for now. But Leclerc is now in on lap 7, and that's off softs, by the way, and he's coming in. And I point that out because I am actually going to come in on this lap as well, because my mediums are awful. So thankfully, I did allocate a hard allocation of tyres for this race. What that means is I actually had extra hard tyres, and I think also an extra medium, to be fair, as well, lined up for the whole race weekend. And it means that I can go to a hard tyre, and I will definitely have another hard tyre left to go on to, a new one that is. So we are going to come in for hards, and I think compared to others, we're going to go medium to hards, whereas others might not even use a hard tyre. I don't know. Oh my god.
I know it's not ideal.
Great. The pit stop was already going to be a bit slow because of the double stack. You know, the pit crew taking a bit long to get ready for my stop, but then there's a pit stop error. There's been quite a few of those this season. Very, very frustrating, I must say, because, I've seen it in the comments about, we need to upgrade the pit crew. The pit crew's upgraded, guys. We upgraded that a long time ago, last season. It's already maxed out. Our pit crew is the best it will ever get, and yet there have been so many mistakes, which is, again, why I say season to season, things really do change, behind the scenes, I'm convinced, in the coding of the game every single season. Like, the cars act different. Problems occur, like the rear wing, that just is a nailed-on characteristic. And another characteristic, a la McLaren in real life this season, it seems like this aarava pit crew this season have just forgotten how to actually do a quick pit stop or not make mistakes, because there have been so many mistakes despite nothing changing in that department, obviously. So yeah, it's it's good to see in a way, obviously, because season to season you do want things to be different in a career mode that you're playing for a while into the game cycle, but at the same time frustrating also to be on the receiving end of mistakes like that. But we're making progress through this race. Onto lap 10, we're going to now try and make an overtake for P13 on Maloney, just getting through some of these slower cars on the fresh hards, which are feeling so much better than those mediums, by the way, as we now close up to Ocon, clouting the curb. And to be fair, I can see why Oscar didn't lose too much time there. We clouted that curb and hardly lost momentum versus Ocon, and we should be able to get onto the back of him by the time we get to the Maggins Beckett section, or rather Beckett's and then Maggots, as we have DRS wide open. And look at that Ferrari. It's almost comical. Every time you see a Ferrari, it's ERS harvest light is flashing. It's never not harvesting. That Ferrari battery is literally... Is it just a AA battery in the back of that car? It must be. It stores nothing, clearly. As further up the road, well, we can see two very displaced Williams cars in second and third. Gasly leads the way. He's yet to pit, so he's on mediums. So that just shows how much better the AI are on tyre wear compared to the player around this circuit, because Gasly, Tsunoda and Aaron, all three, top three, on mediums, and they're still going. I could not make it to lap 10 if I even tried. I had to come in at the same time as all the soft tyre runners, so the AI really cooking me around this circuit. But you know what else is cooking? It's the Red Bull Ford engine. Pierre Gasly. It was an engine failure last episode for his teammate Oscar Piastri, and today Gasly's Red Bull is going to go up in smokes, leading the race. Yet to make a pit stop though, by the way, so he would have gone down the order, but nonetheless, the Frenchman's out, and now Yuki Tsunoda, of all people, is going to take the lead, but he's yet to pit as well, so it will eventually be, I think, Verstappen leading the race, probably, from Sainz. Lawson actually is ahead of Leclerc right now in the order, so I think Lawson will be in third place, technically, once the two Williams make their pit stop. They're going very long, so are they going to even try, maybe, dare I say, a one-stop here, Williams? You know, the home race, trying to be a bit of a hero, as we now move on, looking to make a pass on one of the other home team favourites. I mean, we're a home team, obviously. Aarava Archer Racing, a home favourite. Porsche, obviously a German car brand, but we are still based in the UK, as the HQ is a British team, and we've overtaken the other British outfit of McLaren. Lance Stroll not doing Papaya any favours here, as Verstappen's leading, and Stroll's just down here fighting me for 8th place. But who am I to talk? We're also here fighting him after that qualifying calamity. But lap 15, we're in again, a bit earlier than others, and they're on mediums and we were on hard, so that just shows you, yeah, we really are struggling for tyre wear around here, and probably one of the toughest circuits on the calendar, reverse Silverstone, I must say. But I still chose to have it on the calendar because I thought it was just a lot of fun to drive, and it was a bit of a shame of how last season went, but it seems like it really is maybe a bit of a bogey for us in this game. We're going to have to try and come here again next season, and third time lucky. As oh wow,
left rear wheel. We need to try and put that behind us, and let's finish the race as strong as possible.
Okay, yeah, thanks Mark, thank you. Another pit stop issue, 2 in the same race. You just love to see it, lads. You love to see it. What is going on? We're leading the championship in both standings, and this is the team we're leading it with. It's unbelievable. We're actually on fraud watch. How are we frauding our way to the top of the standings in both of them? It's crazy, because the amount of operational and car issues we've had this season is crazy. As we're up into 8th place, then Piastri behind in 9th. So we've managed to jump Piastri in that second stint. I mean, we already had that entire stint, so we undercut Piastri, and we undercut a lot of other people, including Lando Norris, P8, P10. Norris was running in the top 5 at one point in this race, so one of the Mercedes having an absolute shocker, whilst the other is in second place. Verstappen, though, leading the way by nearly 2 seconds, so it's still Sainz trying to chase after the Dutchman, but look how close things are with Lawson, Leclerc as well. Tsunoda and Aaron, 5-7 right now. I think they are trying a one-stop, so they are looking pretty damn great. Williams' strategy really might pay off big dividends for them in today's race, which is frustrating from my side to see them, you know, pulling off a one-stop, whereas we're having to do a two-stop on nothing but mediums and hards. I mean, it's just unbelievable how bad our tyre wear is compared to the AI is. Oh my God. Really? Okay, wonderful. The rear wing failure has come for us in the race now. Oh boy. Well, Piastri's now closing up, and would you believe it, might go for the overtake And on cue will be a really frustrating time for him to overtake us, because then we can't come back at him with DRS. If we want to try and stay ahead, we need to try and defend this with all we can and keep these guys behind, because at least that way, you know, we can't suffer too much with them pulling away with DRS at least. But we do squeeze out Piastri. Norris makes quick work of Piastri, so no love lost between those two IRL McLaren teammates. But now into the heart of the second sector, the Mercedes is rapid, and remember, this is a DRS zone, so the Mercedes gets us. We've got nothing to defend. Oh, contact with the Mercedes car, and now we've half spun it. Piastri goes through. He might overtake us. We desperately try and dive back down the inside. We squeeze him onto the grass for good measure, and we are going to keep him at bay in P9. The Mercedes has waltzed away from us as we continue to try and hold up our championship rival here through Village. The Mercedes is going to wave bye to us. He's got so much more pace, and this is really a case of, as long as his DRS is failed, we've just got to try and keep Oscar behind, because as soon as he overtakes us, he's just going to walk away, because that next inevitable DRS zone that he gets, you know, let's say we keep him behind for a little bit, but then he gets that DRS zone, overtakes us and uses the rest of the zone to pull away. It's game over then, because there's no hope of us catching back up. So we'll see how much we can hold him up. Lap 22 though, at the sharp end, there might also be a change of the lead here, because Verstappen has been caught. The McLaren has been leading for most of this race, when it can, obviously, with pit stop strategies allowing, but Sainz is gaining, and it's actually incredibly close between the entire top four. Meanwhile, back in our world, we're locking up. Piastri's coming through on the outside, and he's going to do us. Remember, he's on the mediums, to be fair, as well, so he's got the better grip right now, as the mediums haven't fully gone off, and we've got a wash of understeer there, and we wave goodbye, because I'm pretty sure Piastri's got DRS here, because the detection point happened at a place where he was behind us, and now Stroll's overtaken us. We're going to try and repass him, but I think we can say goodbye to Piastri, unfortunately, because of that little, you know, awkwardness where he's overtaken us, but he's still got DRS, and we just don't have any, because ours is broken. Thanks, team. Really great. As on lap 23, Sainz now, we ride on board, stalking Max Verstappen for pretty much this entire race. But can the Spaniard do this? A winner around here in 2022, many years ago now. Obviously in game, this is 2028 in this alternate F1 universe. Carlos Sainz in the Mercedes overtaking Verstappen in the McLaren, and Sainz is up into the lead of the reverse Silverstone Grand Prix. Verstappen down to second, and maybe that's the McLaren falling away in many ways, as it has done this season. Lawson fancies his chances potentially on lap 25, second last lap of the Grand Prix, and well, Sainz is walking away now, 1.4 the gap, and here comes Lawson in the Honda getting up into second place. So Verstappen goes from P1 to P3. He'll be fuming with McLaren, but the car just isn't there anymore. Maybe the tyre wear is hurting him, as Lawson and Sainz both on hard tyres, and Sainz is going to be laughing all the way to the end. He's on mediums, actually, so just amazing tyre wear for him. Carlos Sainz wins this reverse British Grand Prix. Lawson from Verstappen, Leclerc with a very quiet but solid P4, and that might be quite big, with Piastri only scoring 2 points. Tramnitz, you know, us driving as Tramnitz, 1 point. We've managed to stay ahead of Stroll, and only on the last lap did our rear wing fix itself, by the way. You can see the bottom right, but it doesn't matter. We've had to struggle through for 1 point. And so that's going to be very favourable for Charles Leclerc. We tried our best, but to be fair, Piastri didn't do too much better. Both of us in tandem doing the best we can, and it's only P9 in 10, showing how difficult that race was to overtake.
The Spanish driver will look up and see the checkered flag first. Carlos Sainz takes the win.
To come here and take victory as a team today on home soil was so important. You can see how much it means to them. The drivers there doing their part. The team's strategy was perfect as well, and the fans really embraced that. What a great atmosphere we had here today.
It may have been a race win for Mercedes, it may have been a second place for Honda, but all the eyes will be on Leclerc, who now all of a sudden leads the Drivers' Championship. And also, to be fair, eyes might be on Verstappen, He's now ahead of Piastri in the standings. Verstappen is actually the nearest non-inter-team rival compared to Piastri, just showing how much Red Bull have blown that early form they had at the start of the season. And Mercedes are in second to constructors. So Red Bull, they need to sharpen up back again. And, well, McLaren's down in P5, but Verstappen's in third, just showing how good of a job Verstappen is doing in that papaya outfit. But we still lead both standings, but that was a very difficult race, obviously, for on our side of things. We're tramping it, but it all stemmed from that rear wing failure in quali. You know, that ruined everything because it gave us no chance to qualify, and clearly it was always going to be a very difficult race to overtake. If we'd started a bit higher, we could have at least limited the damage better and got like a P6, P7, but it was P10 in the end. So it is what it is, but that's again the rear wing and the car letting us down, and you can't control those things, but it is what it is. We move on then. And guys, if you have enjoyed that race, be sure to hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.